Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Paris Tate. I work in a library near New Orleans, Louisiana, and I am the author of a poetry collection titled All the Words in Between, and I will be reading a few poems from that. The first poem is about one of my experiences during Hurricane Katrina when I was 16 years old. And the name of this poem is called Katrina Mode. Green, black, blurs blotted, crawled up the loose leaf wet wall. Silent growth, so couldn't report the ankle deep news through Baton Rouge motel wires. Instead, it captured footage as wind damage stretched the ceiling into the living room. While left behind in aftermath, rain boots disrupted quiet found among standing water. By afternoon, Mode could better eavesdrop on front porch voices, and mud that seeped under the door, or mildew that found warm top corners, the knocking began. In weeks will return, find enter at your own risk, taped to the front door. Turn the knob to press play with a gentle push. The next poem is called The First Psalm. That bluesy, deep voice told the background bass how her heart had shattered. That was the first time I heard melancholy through the radio. I listened between the lines. I listened until I too felt lost. I couldn't shake her off. Later that night, I told Mama what had happened. She only shrugged. You'll get used to it. It took me years, but keep it to yourself. And the last poem, this was published this year in Infection House Literary Magazine. I wrote this in response to all of the events surrounding COVID-19 and everything that happened this year. So, the name of this poem is called Music to Listen to with Your Significant Other During a Pandemic, Louisiana, 2020. Because we became lost teens of the storm, assigned to the refrigerator with garbage bags and bleach, and with power outages and school closures after Hurricane Katrina, we learned to shrug early as the city went through its own awkward stage. We had to cancel date night plans again, but we filled a grocery basket with canned goods, Kleenex, the last bread on the shelf in silence. We talk about the smell of Lenten catfish in the back seat on the way to quarantine. Children of the 90s, we go there when we want to remember optimism. This is why, with a laptop between us, I remember Britney Spears being my first CD, Wipe the Dust Off the Guitar in Tool's Track 1, the first songs by Outkast, those one-hit wonders we neglect. I explain how closing time was a metaphor for parenthood. We shift to Starman in earlier decades when you confess to never watching Saturday Night Fever, was fooled by the upbeat voice in Semi-Charmed Life. In the present, there's a band I went to see at a bar last weekend. The facts are, Grateful Dead's drummer plays alongside Papa Marley, and this won't be the last time we'll fall asleep to trivia, slow dance rhythms, whiskey-heavy lyrics, and King Cotton blues. Tomorrow, we can shrug and do this again to keep the romance. As music goes on, so the world. All right. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening.